Motivation for change. And if you don't want to change, then you're just going to stay the same. I made a post earlier this morning, and it was a stitch. And the original piece of content was a woman saying, "How are people affording life?" And the woman went on to explain, with the elevated cost of things, she is trying to figure out how people could survive. And I stitched this video and have received feedback. And as I'm reading the comments, I see this can be a difficult time for people. Thank you for liking the live. And it really always comes down to, are you going to decide to stay the same or change? Because circumstances can be difficult. But how we go forward may change what we see. And here's why. If you go on to this piece of content, I'm reading things such as, I have 6 credit cards that are maxed out. I have medical bills. I have this, I have that. And thank you for liking the live, Witchy Mama. I have a few people who have said, specifically one, "Hello, Stephanie, living live. Good to see you." And I'm on later today. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate you. There was only one person in the comments section, because I read the comments. I do read the comments, and I like to respond. I like to see the feedback. And one person said, "You know what? I've determined that I'm happy with life. I've determined any material item doesn't add to my life. And I've let go of things that no longer interest me." And it struck a chord in me, because specifically from my time flying, I started seeing like there's a lot of things that I don't actually need. I love an experience. I was telling a partner of mine, don't buy me anything, give me an experience. We can travel somewhere or create an experience. Because I know these things aren't, I'm not going to remember my favorite handbag. And I went through a time where vintage handbags were a thing for me. And I've had, I was fashion adjacent. I collected designer vintage for years, and I've had all of that. Closets upon closets of every designer you can think of. And also while thrifting, because I would say 95% of my, thank you for the follow, Orion, King of Love. 95% of my wardrobe is vintage or high-end vintage, because through secondhand shopping, and I've been a dedicated secondhand buyer for close to 20 years, where I chose, thank you, Carolina Wren, for the follow. I chose only to buy secondhand because of these 3 things. I have impeccable style. I know what I like. I have a distinct look that I like. I love quality, and because I learned this specifically from my mother and father, I always have a tailor. And I'm quite small. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that, Orion. I see the benefit for a tailor. And being a flight attendant, when I would fly to Beijing or Hong Kong, we would have everything tailored. All of our uniforms, or you could bring in a picture of your favorite dress when we would land, and our layover was 2 or 3 days, and I would show it to the tailor, and within 24 hours, they would bring it to our hotel. And I've always seen myself in this regal way. Also being slim, I'm quite slim, tailoring makes the outfit. And I saw this with my father. So I could go to a thrift store and buy beautiful trousers or jeans and for $6 and pay the money to have them tailored, and they would always look fabulous. And then I took it a step further because I sew myself and I can do basic alterations. But within that, everything looks like it's made for me. And collecting garments, yes, I love the word regal. I'm a wordsmith, I choose my words distinctly because they all carry a different energy. And now that I'm aware of that, I am meticulous about my word usage. And I'll put a pin in that because I want to speak about what someone said yesterday. But again, because I only buy and I love Radiant, yes, secondhand clothing, and then I would sell and I would look at the stitching. And when I would travel, because being a flight attendant, when I was in Holland or Germany, I would only thrift really for heavy coats and sweaters because you have these hand knit sweaters that are fantastic. I am free, what up, what up, what up? If I'm in Italy or France, I love silk, but I also love tailoring of anything from Italy or France. Thank you, user 617. Portugal as well. Portugal has exceptional tailoring. I'm so glad you're here. I am Frey, one of my main hopefuls. Also, Portugal is the second largest distributor of leather behind Italy. So they're tailoring the cobblers that make leather shoes, that the leather is impeccable. So with all of this and also selling, and I was able to legitimize if an item was real designer or not. And here's the other thing, I don't care, because that's the thing with branding. If someone wants to wear a designer like Chanel or Louis Vuitton, to me it doesn't matter whether it's real or fake, because the point is to wear the brand. No one can tell. Thank you. I appreciate that, user 617. And Walter Moses thank you for the follow. No one cares. Okay, the people that say they can, and there are a few people that can tell the difference, but who cares? No one is looking that closely at it, and I'm talking about designer that is not real, but that doesn't even, that whole concept is convoluted. However, the quality of clothes has changed just because there's more ways to produce clothes at a higher scale, which returns a higher amount of money to companies. That makes sense. But when I actually saw, the quality of this, and if I invest in this and tailor it and it looks great, I don't need to have 40 shirts. I can actually have one white shirt, one blue shirt, essentially building a true wardrobe. And if you have that and you have staple pieces and you also know how to truly dress for you, I don't need to shop all the time. You see the difference? And with that, I'm going back to the post that I made about how it's so difficult to survive in this current time. There are several things that you can do that can enable monies to be freed up. And it's the same with life. What's up, Maureen? And thank you for my sunflowers. I appreciate you. I love a sunflower. I've been traveling professionally. So here's the thing. I don't go to movies. I've shared this many times. I don't sit and watch TV. Since I was 22, moved out of my parents' house, I've never had a television. Never had a television. Which means I never had cable. But being a flight attendant, I am so grateful to see you, Mr. James. I was traveling the world. So the world was my television. And even now, no, Zepper, you would have to remind me. I do a brain flush every day to keep myself clear. Detroit Shaw, what up, what up, what up? That's why I came on a little bit later. It's great to see you. So I'm explaining how I always kept costs down because when I started, oh, yes, I do remember. Yes, because everything she was saying, you were adding in and saying, remember this, and this. I do remember you. Thank you for joining my live. I appreciate you. That's very sweet. I'm happy you're here. And what's up, L Gainer 319? So here's the other secret. My father was in finance, so I know what money is, and it isn't real. It is a thought, and it is real. Money to me is just an exchange for goods. And when I say that, I also have the definition of what money is for me, meaning money doesn't add or take away from my self-worth. I'm not better or worse depending on the money that I have. It's a way of carrying yourself. It can be a protection. It can be a way that you carry yourself. But to me, it's a tool for exchange. And I will always say it comes to me with ease. I don't hoard it because it's always flowing to me. But because I understood money from a very young age, because my father has 5 beautiful, smart, articulate daughters, he knew how important this would be. So there's nowhere I would ever go, and the presence of what I would think wealth or money is would frighten me. That wouldn't happen. I've been in these rooms. I've had conversations with some high net worth individuals. And high net worth, the actual definition is anything $30 million and higher. So within the financial system, it's referred to high net worth individuals for people who have $30 million and more liquid. That it doesn't mean anything. And I've also shared stories while living in London. I was around a lot of beautiful young women. Thank you for sharing the live, Zippy. Yes, like currency, that saw that as a means of comfort, which I understand. But I also witnessed how just the presence of what they thought wealth was changed them, and how they had to contort themselves to be in these spaces. I'm not. Because to me, really, being money adjacent, wealth adjacent, isn't wealth. It's just that you're around wealth. And really, it can be easy to acquire in the sense that if you are a great musician, or if you have a skill that you've honed your entire life, that is different from just money. Because you can fart in a jar and sell it online and receive money. But the actual talent or a skill that you've honed for years, I understand why people want to be next to someone with an immense talent for playing the piano, or an amazing talent for making clothes, or an amazing talent that took dedication to learn. But I'm not going to give up my self-worth and who I am just to be around you because what I think the presence of your wealth will give me. I'm wealthy already. And wealth isn't just financial status. And really walk with that. Because I always say I am wealthy. I am wealthy financially. I'm wealthy in health. I'm wealthy with my family. There's so many areas of wealth. And for myself, the biggest form of wealth for me is my time. This is why I don't answer my phone. But my time wealth. That was why when I decided to dedicate myself to speaking professionally after retiring from being a flight attendant, it was really a thought of, okay, I've done this, I've traveled the world, I've accomplished a lot of things. What is next? What is important? My time. I'm not trading my time for money, ever. To me, that I will always be at a loss. I have a skill, and there's a deep love for what I do. So without even the form of payment, I'm going to speak encouragement and inspiration and storytell to encourage anyway. What would you do? What do you love to do? What intrigues you so much that you would want to be at the top of the game of whatever it was and not receive payment for it? Because whatever it is, picture that being your form of how you would receive your financial abundance. Thank you, Willie Clark, for sharing the live. So when I made this post earlier, and I'm reading these things, I thought back to when I started flying at 22. Now, I'd shared the story how I got into flying. I always said I want to help people and travel the world. I did not know what it would be. I did not know it would come in the form of being a flight attendant. But in the meantime, I will always find a way to create money. You can't stop me from doing that. Ever. Thank you for sharing the live, Michael Lattimore. So at the time, I was working at my dad's office. I was a makeup artist. I worked like as a runner at a restaurant. And then when I would get off from the restaurant, I would go up to, because I was in California, which has Indian casinos. And I would say, okay, I love playing blackjack. I'm going to flip this money until I double it. And I would. There was an unwavering will in me just to have this cushion of money because I knew something was coming. I didn't know it was this thing flying. And I had acquired a couple $1,000s that I just had put away. So once I started flying, I had already said, okay, I'm relocating from California, where I was born and raised, and I had already traveled around the nation with my parents, to Washington, D.C. And since I'm in a metro area, I'm not going to have a car, because if I have a car, I wouldn't have a payment. I learned that from my father. Any car I have, I'm paying for it. I'm paying for it. I don't want to have a payment, and that's something within me, because that's less of something I have to pay for. But it's my starting year as a flight attendant. So if I have no car, that means in my pocket I have gas money, because I'm not using this gas money. I have the insurance that I would pay for because, again, my parents, I was well taken care of as a child, but my dad always said, you can get your license at 18. There was no get your permit at 15, then get your license at 16 and we'll buy you a car. That didn't happen. And I appreciate it. I see what my parents sewed into me. Because when I did turn 18, that's when I got my driver's license. And my father would say, okay, as long as you're in school, I'll take care of everything. Meaning, once a week, I'll go fill up your gas tank. I'll pay for your car insurance. And no, actually, he never paid for my car insurance. That was another thing. If you're driving, you pay for your car insurance. I'll pay for your, thank you. I will pay for your gas. So I've always known how much these things were. I was 18 years old and had to pay my car insurance. I've never had a ticket. Listen, you can't get me to speed as high as my insurance was. I'm not speeding nowhere. I'll get there when I get there because I see how much the cost is for my insurance. So these things, Michael, listen, it was the truth. And I understand these things that my parents did because I remember my father bought me a car. That car might have been $1,000. It was a 1987 Plymouth Sundance, and this was in like 2002. And I remember him walking me to the car and said, here's your car. And it was clean. It was clean inside. It was well taken care of. It had one owner. And I saw the car. I was like, Dad. And I just started crying. because I was popular and I'm Hope and I can't be seen in this. I knew my parents weren't going to buy me a brand new car, but a 1987 Plymouth Sundance in 2002. So I sat on the curb and I cried for like an hour. And my dad said, okay, well, when you're ready, here's the keys and you can drive. And after about 30 minutes of crying and looking at the car, I wiped my tears away, got in the car, smashed off, loved the car. And that's where I started appreciating the fact that I actually had the transportation. And to me, I was driving it like it was a Bentley Continental. Yeah. Oh, a Cavalier. I remember that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Zephyr. So I kept it clean. Every week I loved to go to wash my car. It was cleaned up. It had the air freshener. It had great AC. It had a great heater. I mean, it was a great car. But I learned in that moment, oh, this is just transport. There will be a time where I can choose to have what I want. But at this time, this is a great car. And I'm going to treat it as such. Make sure the oil is changed. My dad would change my oil, and he also taught me how to do it, but I kept it nice. However, when I moved to DC, I knew that that would be money that can go into my pocket. So I chose not to drive. And I'm sharing this story because of the post I made earlier today. There were decisions, specifically not driving, because then I don't have to pay for gas, and I don't have to pay for insurance, and I don't have to pay for upkeep. That's a lot of funds that I can now have for myself. Also, public transport for me, I was able to see the new area that I was living. And my trips were my vacation. So just these small things allowed me to see, okay, if I don't have this, I can have more of this. And sometimes that's what we need to do in these times where we find that something is very difficult. And later, when I wanted that car that I'd always dreamed about, I bought it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was 22 at the time, but it didn't mean that much to me. There was a moment where I said, I wish I had a nicer vehicle, but this is a great car. This is a great car. It gets me to where I need to be. Now, when I chose to leave school, the same thing from my parents. Okay, the deal was, as long as you're in school, we will take care of all of this. Now that you're not, now you got to fill up your tank. Now you have to pay for this. Now you have to pay for that. That's fine. I'll pick it up. So I've always known the cost of these things, but they were important. And going back to flying, I had friends who had said, I want to move to New York. I want to move to these cities and live. Great. But I always knew, because during my entire childhood, I went to the dentist regularly. I regularly had health checkups. I had all these things. That was important to me. You can't be sexy if you ain't got all your teeth. So I always knew whatever I did, especially if I'm in the US, if you're not in the US, this doesn't apply. I have to have benefits. I don't want to just move to a city and figure it out and not be able to have my dentist and be able to have regular checkups. These are the thoughts that I thought even prior to starting to fly, because when I got the job as a flight attendant, I said, oh, well, I can manage money. That's nothing. Everything else that comes along with this is far more valuable. Because when I started flying, I paid nothing for my benefits, meaning my dental was completely free. My healthcare was completely free. I'm good. I'm okay. I remember even calling, thank you, Pinklow, for the follow, calling my father and saying, okay, Dad, how do I budget? How do I budget? I had these conversations because as someone who money comes to me easily, I also have to be able to embrace and be aware of what that brings. And my father is old school. He said, Hope, listen, you get envelopes. You have your first envelope for your utilities. You put the money in there. You have your second envelope for your groceries. You have your third envelope for fun money. And then you have your fourth envelope for savings or whatever it is. The fun money, once it's gone, you don't go into the others. And I actually used that. So whatever I had left, instead of just a savings account, I had a high yield savings. I put some into a CD. But here's the other thing, and I'm explaining this because often it's not that we don't have enough. Sometimes the knowledge of what we have is not enough. I was already at the lowest for pay scale, but it didn't matter because I was traveling the world. That is one of the most expensive forms of entertainment, period. For the most part, I had per diem to eat, so I wasn't ever thinking about that. But because of that knowledge that my father gave me, from the moment that I started flying, I put 30% of my salary away at 22. And that's not something that a 22-year-old usually says, but it was either going into 401k or I put some into stock accounts because I always knew there would be a time where I would want to step away from flying. And that was my, okay, figure it out fund. So for those 15 years, I lived on, well, there was a time where it was 40%, but let's say 30% of my salary was going somewhere where I couldn't touch it and it was accruing. It was never, if I got very, very low, it wasn't because I was using everything. It was because I'm already living on 70% of my salary. Because my father would say life happens. And when life happens, it's a little bit easier when you can say, all right, I'm okay because I have this. And one of those funds was I'll figure it out fund. So on top of 401k or whatever else, when I decided to retire, I said, yeah, and I'm going to change directions. And that I'll figure it out fund that I started 15 years ago is a part of it. Now, I also bet on myself where I will figure it out. I will figure it out. Here's the thing. Here's why I'm so crazy. Okay? Because I will say I am insane. I don't mind the lack, a moment of lack because of something that I want. Meaning, I don't mind saying, whoa, I put myself in this position and I'm down to this much and I'm okay with that. I'm going to keep going. I don't mind that because I'll make it work. Usually it's the opposite because what I hear, and from what I'm reading in these comments from my last post, there's a large portion of the population that's so afraid of this quote unquote broke that they won't risk themselves for what is there for them. And for me, I'm never broke. I may be in a moment of transition, but there's something for me to learn from that. And I don't mind risking it to attain what I want. I'm never going to be in the position where I say, I'll go broke doing that. How do you know? When you put yourself in some situations, you will make it work. Here's the other thing. There's always things around that will help. There's things around that will help. If I needed to, I haven't had to, but if I needed to, my parents have always said, you can always come back home. Now, That is a huge cushion, and I'm grateful for that. Many people can't say that, but this is why I always leap. And I get it. I completely get it. The fact that I can leap and they would say, if you need a place to stay, come back home, that is a huge cushion. But I already know I'm not going to use it. Once I leap, I know that's there, but I'm not going to use it. But the fear of not having it isn't going to prevent me from trying, because I bet on me. I'm going to bet on me. And I'm going to succeed. There's no other way. There may be some bumps in the road. There may be some things that knock me down, but I know I don't stay down long. And I know it's just a lesson. So when I'm reading the comments from this last post that I made about, I stitched a video of a creator saying how difficult it is now, there's a lot of things you can do without. Quite a bit. The fact that I've just never had a television was funds that I didn't have to pay. The fact that since I had been with the airline, I never drove because I was living in places where public transport was a thing. As you know, I lived in major cities, and if you're in Europe, Europe is based around public transport, so a car isn't something that you need. I had let go of my Amazon years ago. I think when I moved to Hawaii, just because I didn't have next day Amazon. But yeah, well, thank you, Shadow Foxy, fan of Foxy. Here's the other thing. I'm grateful, and this is why I speak about this, because I was taught this. You're not just born with this knowledge. Someone has to teach you. Someone has to tell you, because it's a concept. Money is a concept. Even the thought of, okay, let me leverage. What can I leverage? Listen, I sold vintage clothing, but I also sold secondhand clothing because I got biceps. Don't play with me. I always loved thrift shopping. And because I have such an eclectic style, I started to see, okay, I can invest in these things. I know brands that people like. So I'll buy things, wear them a few times, and then sell them on Poshmark or Depop or eBay. So there was always something that I was doing that was consistently creating a cash flow for me. Clothes aren't that big of a deal for me. Everything looks great on me. But I don't need to keep it. I donate it. What I can sell, I'll sell. And if I buy it for low and sell it for high, I'm always creating a flow for myself. Thank you for the roses, Paper Chaser. However, it takes less to be more creative, meaning my vision is the less you have, the more creative you can be. The more creative you can be. Whatever it was, if I can sell it, I can sell it. And specifically with clothes, I started seeing and also being in fashion. I know the cost of these things. So there's no way I would pay that exorbitant amount. Now, for my tailoring, thank you, Paper Chaser, for the 80 roses. For my tailoring, I'll invest in that, because I will invest in these beautiful coats and have them tailored. Those are pieces that are worthy of being tailored. Then I'll pass it on to my nieces, or I'll donate it, or I'll sell it, and I'll start again. But it was never, I'm going to pay $10,000 for this coat. I mean, if I like something that much, here's the other thing, I will. Because I'm not under that either. And I remember saying to a friend, we were at Whole Foods in Newark, New Jersey. And he said, oh, I want to get this, but look at the price. I said, but you want it? He said, yeah, but look at the price. I said, but you want it? He said, yeah, but my mom taught me how to save money. I said, okay, but what does that have to do with you now? He said, Hope, I never thought about that. I said, sometimes question yourself, because oftentimes we're living in the construct of a parent or a guardian or a grandparent that said, nah, we can't afford this. Now we can't afford this. But now you're 48 and you work and you want the peanut butter, the name brand peanut butter, buy the name brand peanut butter. Question why you don't think it's for you, because it may not even be your voice that's telling you that. If I want the name brand anything, I'm going to buy it because it's the right price for me. I don't actually care about the price. If I want it, I will buy it. I am no longer going to allow myself to say that's too expensive. Well, why? You put time and dedication into earning your source of revenue. So you buy what you want. However, just question why that question comes up, because oftentimes it's not actually our voice saying it. It's something else that came before us. And he had called this friend and he said, Hope, thank you for saying that, because now I buy what I want to buy, especially in the grocery store. What we feed ourselves shows. You are what you eat. And this is why when I do my lives and I cook, there's a reason why I look like this. But I do enjoy cooking. I enjoy, as you know, I forage for my food. When I'm in Hawaii, I would know my farmers. I knew my beekeeper that would bring me my honey. That is important. And because I've eaten at all of these Michelin-starred restaurants around the world, American food is gross to me. Like most American food outlets don't taste great. I know I can make something better with better produce that's seasoned better, that's prepared better. Thank you for the follow, Melvin. So I'm not really, if it's a family event or someone invites me out, sure. But you ain't going to catch me at no nasty brunch. People are loud. I don't even like brunch. My brunch is better, and I don't drink, so I don't care to be around people who are drinking bottomless mimosas. There's a time and place for that, so have fun. But for me, that's a worthy investment. And I'm sharing all of these things because oftentimes it's not that we don't have enough. It's maybe the knowledge that we're lacking in our current systems. When I moved so I smoke? No, I don't. When I moved to Hawaii, I had eliminated my Amazon because, number one, I actually don't need things that quickly. When I was in New York, I could get anything at any time. But in Hawaii, things weren't next day. And furthermore, thank you. I appreciate you, Maureen44. I didn't really care about the free shipping because I would just say, oh, I'll wait until I need to buy a few items. And anything over, I think, $20 or $25 is free shipping. So I'll just pair together the things that I need and make a large purchase, and the shipping will be free. But that constant reoccurring charge that I don't use, I don't watch, I stream, but I have my sister or my parents' streaming service, so I don't watch Amazon Prime too much. These are just small costs that you don't really need. Furthermore, I explained about my car. I had an electric car. There was a reason why I bought it. First of all, it aligns with me. It was the car I wanted. But if I'm not buying gas, that's a huge source of revenue that's with me. If I don't have to go in and change the transmission and oil because an electric car doesn't have that, that is a huge source of revenue that stays with me. So when things are analyzed, it could be that you just could change something to create a different outcome. And there were things that I did while flying because I could write it off with taxes. Ultimately, what I'm saying is to be more creative. I believe the less you have, the more creative you can be, but do what you want and make it happen. Me solely buying secondhand clothing, first of all, it's a love, it's a hobby, it's something I love to do. But I would see the same brands and I would see the quality and I would see that, yeah, I mean, why are you always shopping? Y'all just don't have the greatest style if you believe that you always have to be shopping. In reality, quality doesn't always equate with the amount that you pay. And this is in regard to secondhand shopping. And I also had like 6 closets at one time, and it was mostly secondhand clothing. I've had a lot of clothing. But if you have the right pieces, you arrange them correctly, you really have an endless wardrobe. For me, it was a beautiful button-down, well-made shirt. A beautiful 100% button-down. Thank you, thank you. I know you're a hopeful paper chaser. Beautiful, high-quality silk blouse. Beautiful trousers in navy blue and cream and black. A beautiful turtleneck in white and in black and navy. Like you just have staple pieces and you switch it in and out, and the beautiful black dress or this dress. There's ways to expand what you have, but the constant need to always buy, and I know y'all ain't going to no events. I'm at these events. I don't see nobody. So there's just a different way of looking at what you have. Someone in the comments said, well, I'm looking at buying a car that I can pay off in 2 years. If you're looking at how long it's going to take you to buy a car, that you may need to change your outlook. Go ahead and get that $1,500 car and make it work. Because if the factor is I'm going to be paying for the next 7 years versus I'm trying to get a car that I can pay off in the next 2 or 3 years, the car payment probably shouldn't be there. And that's the reality. And if you're not looking to challenge yourself to say, you know what, I'm going to increase this skill, or I'm going to challenge myself and go after what I want because the financial reward is there, well, then that's up to you. This is how I've done it. And even with speaking, I said, I'm going to build this to a space where I love to do it anyway. I love to encourage. I love to share stories. I love to teach how to speak with confidence. Of course, the financial abundance is there. So there's never going to be a stopping point. And for me, this is a 20-year career. This is a long game. Same thing with flying. That was a long game. Good evening, Blessed Tone. That was a long game. And that's why I had the I'll figure it out fund, because I'll figure it out and I got to figure it out. But the fear of not having it isn't going to allow me to not figure it out. And looking at things differently. My father would say, credit is for rich people. You use credit to get the points or the miles and you pay it before you accrue interest. If you can't do that, a credit card should not be in your possession. Now, this is what I was told as a child, like at 5. That's how I understood money and finance and financial institutions. So often it's not that you're not making enough money. It's just that you haven't understood the game. And I understand that because you have to be taught. And especially within the US, everything here is based off of money. That's the game, unfortunately. Here's the other game. If you're not taught it, then you just believe that you are always less than. And that's a terrible feeling of I don't have enough, of I'm doing all of this and I still don't have it. That takes people's souls and crumbles it. I understand that. These things that my father would say, I hear them now. I hear them now. And to start to learn or to restructure or see things differently can be difficult. but it's worth it. In my live, I think it was 2 days ago, someone said, well, it's hard to change. So what? Maybe that's the reason why change is so difficult. Because it's going to take more of you to make that shift. And I'm sharing all of these things because I'm seeing, number one, the seeds that were planted in me, but just how a seed blossoms. And I'm never going to say I don't have it. Even if I didn't, I'm going to act as if I did. And that's a part of the game too. Stop letting the lack, especially of money, take your joy. You have your health. You've made it to this day. You've continued on. And you allow something like a bill not being paid take away your joy and your human soul? Stop it. Stop it. Because the moment you do, it will always happen. It's just like allowing the opinion of someone. It's the same as allowing someone's opinion of you to create the opinion of yourself. What you think about yourself is the truth. That's it. What someone thinks about me or what I say, how I show up in the world, what I wear, that's their opinion. It has nothing to do with me. But the moment that I actually believe what they say is the moment that I've opened the door for the world to control how I feel in every moment. Because everyone will have an opinion about you. It's a part of the brain, human brain structure. People see things and they process it and they talk. Oftentimes people don't even know what they're saying. My therapist said, yeah, people see and then they're processing out loud. Oh, that's a shirt that I would never wear. Okay, I don't care. What does that have to do with me? But that's because I know that doesn't mean anything. What they think about what I do is just how they've processed what they see through their perspective from their moment of birth till that moment. It doesn't mean anything about me unless I actually find some truth in what they say. But I don't find truth in what someone says. I find truth in what I know about me. And to get to that point is to actually tell yourself, I'm worthy of this. People are going to say what they want to say, but what does that have to do with me? I don't care what people say. To me, people dress bad. They eat bad food. They don't know how to pair wine with food. They don't shine their shoes. They don't floss. They think they travel and they don't go to the greatest places. That's actually what I think. But it doesn't mean anything to anyone outside of me. The moment I allow what you think about me to dictate me means I've given you the keys to drive me crazy. Absolutely not. No. I love myself. I like myself. I'm working towards things in life. I have parents that love me. I have all these other things that matter. You don't. And start seeing what matters. People's opinion of you does not have to actually matter. But if you don't actually like yourself, then it will. And that's all it speaks to, how much you actually like yourself. And a lot of you are walking around allowing everyone's opinion to control your opinion of yourself. And it solely just comes down to how you see yourself. Do the work to love, to like, to respect, to forgive, to listen to you, not anything outside of you. And I'll take it a step further, even with your family, because them people will drive you nuts too. But to be safe within yourself and to be safe within how you show up in the world changes how the world shows up for you. It changes how the world shows up with you. I am never walking around thinking doom and gloom and the world's going to end and the banks are going to fail. If they do, I'll be okay. I don't have any control over that. And there's also the knowledge of Paper Chaser, my words are gifted. Thank you, Deshaun Palmer, for the follow. Also, you got to understand, you are your universe. You. The moment you look at the news and allow that to raise your blood pressure, to raise your anxiety, to lower how you feel about yourself, to change how you speak to yourself, they won. Quit allowing them to win. My father would say, oh, they believe the lie. That is a lie. You are the truth. It's you. Not for me, baby. Deshaun, listen, ain't no stress here. Look at this. It's looking good over here. And I'm telling myself that every day. I feel great. No matter what is going on the outside, on the inside, it's always up. It's always up. It's always up. It's looking good over here. I got to tell myself that. Tell yourself that. Quit allowing that outside to change what's inside. Thank you, Maureen, because it's the truth. That's the only thing you can control. I don't care about gas prices. If I need gas, I'm just going to have to get gas. The moment that I say, how much is this? And every time I go to the gas station, I got high blood pressure, I'm sweating. That is slowly taking the life out of you. That's taking the life out of you. Yes, I understand this is an elevated cost. But do you enjoy this experience? Do what you need to do to enjoy this experience called life. Which means create your own internal economic system. Start telling yourself great things. Start reminding yourself of the great things that you've done, that you do, that you've survived. Actually tell yourself you love yourself. Tell yourself that you like yourself. Tell yourself, this is a great day. I'm so excited to go to sleep. And my body is going to regenerate. And tomorrow is the most fabulous day. Great things are happening. Great things have happened. I just haven't found out. But I know it's happening. Because you've been saying the opposite. And this is how I show up. Even this morning, I write. I journal every morning. And I journal like my perfect day. Today went great. My voice, the words that flowed out of me on my live just blessed people, gave people inspiration. I feel good. I had a great walk today. I sat in the sun. I drank water that hydrated my body. I give myself nutrient-dense foods that aid my body in healing. That's how I start my day. Ain't no way I'm going to let no whippersnapper come and ruin my day. No. Absolutely not. But this is what you have to do to protect your own personal economy. It will take work because people just want to complain. I remember I was walking and I saw someone and they said, oh, I'm enjoying this day because, the next days are going to be terrible and I'm praying for rain. I said, stop. I'm enjoying this day and this day is great. I'm not asking for more than what this day is bringing me in this moment. You're enjoying this 80-degree day and you're saying, but we need rain? Who? Get out of here. Go drink a glass of water and have that be the rain. But enjoy the beauty of now. And it's very easy to get into that negative speak. It's very easy. Most people love to talk about negative things. Walk away. Okay? It's looking too good over here for me to feed into that. I refuse to. Not doing it. Okay? Not doing it. I am the greatest. There we go, Zachary. There we go. That's at my dry cleaner. When they ask for my name, I say Hope the Greatest. She said, what's your name? I said, first name Hope, Hope, last name TheGreatest. She was like, oh my gosh, your name is Hope the Greatest. Hope the Greatest. I love this name. I said, that's my name for real. That's how I'm going to find one of the receipts because every time I picked it up, it would say Hope the Greatest. This positivity thing, or just being able to program yourself for your greatest feeling, is a daily activity. And it starts now, because when those things happen, when life happens, you got to be able to say, I know this happened. I know I lost my car. I know it's getting repoed. I know I didn't pay for this. I know somebody died. And I can be grateful in this moment, and I can mourn the loss, and I will continue on. And I will continue on. And I will continue on. Because to be able to say that means when those moments, listen, I remember a time where I had to go to court. I had missed payment, and I was like, okay, yeah, it was just, life will keep going. I still feel good in this moment. There's something I'm learning from this. I'm not going to just cry and say, you know what, everything's terrible. No, life will go on. There's something I'm learning from this, because this happened. It won't happen again because of what I've learned from it. From what I've learned from it. And being able to be in that moment of, yeah, this happened. Well, someone hit my car and it messed my whole day up. It didn't have to. The car's already been hit. That's okay. You can mourn the loss of your car, sure, but go on with your day. Allowing these things to take your joy. And I'm not saying completely be numb to these things. Feel it and then release it and go on. I can be evicted and still smile. Someone will say, oh, come on, get on the couch. Or whatever happens. I am pretty bulletproof in this time. And even in those times where I remember when I lost a great friend as I was moving, the day that I moved to Maui, a friend of mine transitioned. And it was a time of solitude for me, because I was in Hawaii and I was by myself. I didn't know anyone. And it was one of the most beautiful moments, because I couldn't run. And I explained, I think it was yesterday, how when my dad had a stroke, I threw myself into, thank you, yes, use your life, the get together, thank you for following me. Yeah, I'm a lifestyle, I'm a vibe, I see why they love me. But during that time, I threw myself into work. I was flying, and I'm already so slim. And I was losing quite a bit of weight because I was trying to run from that feeling of mourning. And this was a different time, because I allowed myself to feel that and feel the loss and feel how grateful I was for the moments, for the years that we had, and feel what loss meant to me in that moment, and feel, what's up, Mag? And feel the growth from loss and mourning. And it was beautiful, because, thank you for sharing the live, Maureen. I grew in that moment. Thank you for sharing the live, Mag, as you do. You always like and share the live. I appreciate you all. And seeing what that meant for me. Because especially, thank you for sending the chili, all the chili peppers. You know I love a chili pepper paper chaser. Specifically in Western culture, and I'll speak about Americans, we do not have a system for mourning. You kind of don't talk about it. You don't talk about losing someone. You don't talk about people dying. This is why I live like this. This will end. This will end. I'm under no false pretenses that this is going to go on forever. And this is why I dedicate myself to the cause of just speaking and storytelling and confidence, and building people's confidence in how they speak, and stepping onto stages to encourage people to shave your hair off, to wear your hair natural, whatever it is. Because our authenticity, to me, is that magic that we each have that often we are trying to not show. There's so many stories that we have within us that when we release them, people say, wow, that really helps me. I went through something similar. And that's beautiful. And also, when I speak of how having the electric car, thank you for the roses, paper chaser. I did not have gas, so that's money that I would have. I did not have a transmission, so I didn't need an oil change or anything like this. And all of the charging stations were free. And I also forage. So I would go in, now it's avocado season in Hawaii, and I would go and forage my avocados and lemons and limes and herbs and all sorts of things. And we had a barter system where there were certain farmers that said, hey, yeah, you could come and take what you would like. Just make me something. And I would bring them back food because I cook so well. There's ways of doing things, but if you're stuck in old systems, you're going to be stuck in old systems. I appreciate you. 24 is better. 48 is best. I love 48 roses. However, as I say, I ask for a lot. And that's another thing. I have always said, my parents would always say I was the most expensive child. So what? You provided me with things, and I like nice things. But it was never that I demanded this from a partner. And all of my partners have had success in their designated fields. But I got to a point where I saw myself wanting validation from partners who had what I wanted for myself. And I said, well, I can just have it. See, I do believe really 2 high net worths are better than 1. And I won't be in a space of this person doesn't have it. I'm with this person and they can't give me what I want. Create it. This is really a part of my speaking. This is my wealth in so many ways. I find specifically for women, this is directed at women. And my father is a provider. I've never actually been in a relationship where we've discussed like, I will only do this and that. If you're dealing with me, you already know what it is. But I find that there's a comfort when I want you in my life, but I don't need you. And that's powerful. That's really powerful. There's another angle to that. I feel at times that it can be maybe uncomfortable because I don't even think we went out on a date, but we did. I went on a dinner date. What's up, retired LEO Lawrence? Thank you for the roses, Paper Chase at 48. I love 48. If you deliver 48 roses to me, that's a great start. Thank you for the follow, Darlene, and thank you for the follow, retired LEO Lawrence. I went out on a dinner date with this gentleman who actually is going to be one of the first people of color to own an energy company. Yeah, within the U.S. with pleasure. And also was putting money into other things. And he said, okay, I want to take you out to dinner. I said, sure. And I was talking about, because at the time I was flying, but also selling a lot of vintage clothing because, again, I love secondhand shopping. And I also love the thrill of taking pictures of the clothing, writing the copy, selling it, all of that. And I was saying, okay, so I have this great idea for a detergent for secondhand clothing that would neutralize the smells and sprays, and telling him all these things. And he was like, wow, you are really ambitious. And I saw it. I saw this almost, maybe it was a disconnect or a discomfort, because I will achieve. I will achieve. And although this gentleman has a significant amount of financial abundance, there is something about that. And I had shared this in lives before. Because I'm well traveled, I've seen the world thousands of times, so many countries. I've lived abroad. I speak their languages. When it comes to gentlemen, and I refer to them as that because those are the only men that approach me, it can be difficult. Not difficult for me, but on the opposite end, because I can't be impressed with travel. Already from a young age, my father opened the world of travel for us, and we stayed in nice hotels and suites, and I saw him tipping the bellmans, and as a family would fly first class or business class, a family of 6, and travel and go to these nice restaurants. As a child, I took it an additional step, being a flight attendant and then living abroad, and then my own travels outside of the profession of traveling. So oftentimes I've seen on apps or just in conversation where gentlemen will try to reel in with travel. Most places that I've been to, you haven't been to. There's nowhere you can impress me. You can't impress me with a trip to Paris. I lived there. You can't impress me with a trip to most of these places that several individuals would be impressed with. That's not impressive. Money isn't impressive because from what I've seen, most people don't really know what big money is. And that's also comes with a confidence of knowing how to manage it. So I'm not reeled in by that either. How are you to impress me? How are you to impress me? It's really with knowledge. And it's really with being able to show me something that I haven't seen before, which I've seen it all. But really, I love knowledge. At heart, I'm still that bookworm and that straight A student and that teacher's pet that loves to manage. But my father would always say, it's not getting it, it's keeping it. And that's not just with money. It's not about buying that mansion. It's about the upkeep. And this is where the difference is. Because you think, okay, I got it to buy it. No, you have to understand the upkeep. Having the gardeners, if a roof leaks, it's much different for a 10,000 square foot home compared to a 1,500 square foot home. The upkeep is always more than the initial cost. And that's the same with the women too. But that upkeep is often not factored in. Same thing with anything, but I'm speaking in the sense of within that space with gentlemen. For me, it's knowledge and being able to really enlighten me with your own wisdom, with your own sense of self, with the things that you've done in life, which means you've had a fulfilling life in your own right. And not be intimidated with someone who has as well. Because as I said, you can say you travel, but then when we start talking about traveling, not many people have traveled as much as me, but I digress. So for me to create it creates a sense of ease for me. A sense of ease for me. I'm not ever demanding anything that I don't do for myself. And in fact, I don't demand anything. I don't even like asking. I don't even like asking. And I say all this to say, fulfill your fulfillment to yourself first. Fulfill your fulfillment to yourself first. What peso? Because when you do that, the whole world opens up. I'm not expecting someone to bring the life that I've already created for myself. I love that someone will seamlessly integrate. And there's a difference. There's a difference. Seeing that, yes, know thyself, but really know thyself. And that doesn't mean, just a minute, peso. Now, that does not mean knowing thyself really means knowing yourself. What is your strength? What is your weakness? What can someone do to bring a smile upon your face? What do you like now? Because it's not the same thing that you liked 10 years before. What is your next accomplishment? How would you feel if someone gave you their word and then didn't fulfill it? I mean, going into those depths where you really know, and I believe this is a lifelong journey, but it's more than knowing your favorite brand. It often comes from being with yourself, and I purposely say with yourself, not by yourself. I love being with myself. I'm safe with myself. I trust myself. However, being with yourself will teach you about yourself, and changing that word instead of I'm by myself. No, you're with yourself. You're there with yourself. You're not by, you're with, you're one. There's a difference. Thank you for sharing the live, Lexi. And I remember in my live yesterday, someone had said, well, Hope, you still shouldn't let someone, you should not tolerate someone who doesn't meet your expectations. Thank you for the follow, Lexi. And I said, we're not saying the same thing. The definition of tolerate is to allow something that you don't necessarily like. Okay? I said, I accept things. So I'm not in concert, in partnership with someone, and I tolerate. No. We're not even going to get to that point, because to tolerate means I'm just allowing something I don't like. If I don't accept, which means being open and accepting and willing and wanting and appreciating that thing, it wouldn't get to that point of partnership. But even the different selection of words. And this is why knowing thyself sometimes takes reading. Reading. Just read the definitions and use the different words. Because I don't just tolerate people, I accept people. I accept you into my life. When I would even hear about, we need to tolerate different people. What's up, T. Wheeler? We need to tolerate different lifestyles. I don't want anyone to tolerate me. I don't want you to tolerate me. In actuality, I would love for you to accept me. Because the definition of tolerate is to allow something that you don't necessarily like or align with. I don't care for that. It's acceptance or nothing, and I'm okay with both. But understanding that, and that was talking about a relationship with knowing your expectations and not aligning with someone that doesn't tolerate what you... Let's eliminate tolerate, because if we're still in the space of tolerate, that means I'm not even completely accepting of something, some trait of you. And I'm actually accepting of a lot, because people are just people. And the more compassionate and more love I give to myself, the more compassionate I am with others, and the more that I can see others as me, as me. Because I do believe when I can see myself in another human being, I can see patience and I can see compassion and I can see, like, okay, sure, I don't need to judge. I can just allow and accept. I don't even know what you're saying, KPY3. I don't, that's not a complete sentence. And I don't quite understand. I'm going to try to read it out loud. You, and I think you is referring to YOU. Okay, so you are referring to ARE. You are taking it too far. Okay, duh. I don't know what that means, period. So is that the sentence? Usually, period. Okay. Like when you decide too fast, it means you have to tolerate hunger. I don't know what that means at all. And darling, none of that made sense. At all. So as I said, the continuing of, as Maureen said, knowing thyself, love the time you have with yourself and start using that instead of I'm by myself, I'm single, no. You're with yourself. You're with yourself. You're not by this plate of food, you're with this plate of food. There's a difference and there's a beauty in it. And there is a element of security when you're with yourself. When you get to hear your thoughts and say, I don't have to believe that thought. And we spoke about this, I think it was yesterday. That will open doors for yourself to get to know yourself. The more that you get to know yourself, what's up, cool Aaron? The more you can find those challenging places within yourself. How do you do it? How do I do what? Just clarifying, I'm happy to respond. How do you do what? And I'm happy to clarify and break it down into digestible pieces because that's exactly what needs to be said. I understand In Love with Africa. I understand. And I'm always open and available to break something down into bite-sized pieces so others can understand. I do believe reach one, teach one, and I'll do my best to share that. However, I'm willing to do that. That's not something that's out of my jurisdiction because I care. In Love with Africa, I care. But if you have incomplete sentence, not but, and if your sentences are incomplete, that's a start. That's a place to start because I will read it as that. And I don't know where if it's a statement or a question, where it starts, where it ends. I also request in my lives writing the words. So if it's you, YOU. I'm an adult. I'm a wordsmith. And just that simple practice Okay, it's not allowing you to write fully. What would you like me to clarify? Because when you say I'm taking it too far, I always do. If you know, if you're in my life, I always take it too far. Taking it too far is the one of the mainstays of my life. I am too much. I am over the top. I take it too far, and I strive at doing that daily. So, the beauty of this is I'm honest and I'm authentic with myself. That's right, a communicator of greatness. That's why I strive to be. I just strive to communicate with exceptional skill. Okay, how can you be one with yourself? Well, you already are. You just already are. If you want to be more in touch, in tune with yourself, I'm speaking of the quietness when you're alone. We all have a running dialogue. I believe we all have a soundtrack in our head. There's different music playing. Sometimes you have a song that you've heard on the radio or something. Listen to that. What is playing? What are the repetitive thoughts you're telling to yourself? What is it true? And I spoke about this yesterday. Ask yourself, if the thought is, I don't do anything right, I never do anything right, I never, ask yourself, okay, is this true? Is it true in every situation, 100% of the time? Okay. Is it true for me? What's up, cool Aaron? Meaning, whatever thought you have, because it's a practice. I don't know whatever anyone's spiritual or religious or non religious practice is. I meditate, I journal, I do what I need to do to stay clear. But if there is a thought, I will say, at this point, I don't even have to grasp onto a thought. And that came from specifically meditation. Thank you for the follow, Marg Mac 4. But if there is a repetitive thought, observe. It all starts with awareness. Just aware. Whoa, that's what's happening. Okay. All right. Is that true? Is it true that I don't do anything right? You can tell yourself, no, that's not true. I do things right. I made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I always get that right. Okay, so that's not true. Is it true all the time? No, it's not true all the time. Maybe just when I'm around Uncle Joe. Okay, all right. Is it true now, in this moment? No. Oh, okay. Well, I can release that thought. That's not me. There's a way, it starts with awareness. And I'm going to speak more about this. Maybe I'll build a workshop around just awareness and the thoughts that we have, because not every thought is true. And you actually can get to a point of not grasping onto thoughts. Thank you, Co-op, for the follow. It takes time, it takes work, but it starts with awareness. It just starts with awareness. How do I feel right now? How where you're silent or in the shower. It just starts with awareness. Start tomorrow just checking in every hour on the hour. What am I feeling right now? Okay, my arm kind of hurts. I'm not hungry. I ate. I feel happy. All right. That it starts with that. Just that check-in. Because if you're just on autopilot, you're not checking in with yourself. Start with that awareness. Maybe say I'm going to check in at 10 a.m., at noon, and at 3. Just to observe how I feel, what I feel, the changes in me. And that awareness will start to become routine. And then from that, you can go from there. But I think starting with just awareness. Awareness starts for me as soon as I wake up and I do like a body scan laying in the bed. Like, okay, let me scan my body. Ooh, my neck. I think I slept on the wrong side. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Oh, my stomach. I'm not really hungry, but I'll be able to eat in a few hours. Okay. Just feeling what you feel like. Observing your thoughts. Oh, I'm waking up. I'm thinking about the bill. I got to get to work. I'm late. observing what's going on in your brain, observing what's going on in your body. Several. A lot of this just comes from, I don't know, maybe some knowledge that's transmitted from above into my head. But reading, meditating, working out, being in a plane that almost crashed. There's a lot of things. This is a daily thing. And thank you, Paper Chaser. I appreciate you. I really, really appreciate you. And also just observing. Observing. I've tried, a lot of this comes from my travels. Because I've seen the world, I just observe and then check in. And I've seen different social structures, religious structures, all sorts of things. But my message always is, it comes back to us. It comes back to you. It always comes back to you. Because you are your economy. You are your best line of defense. You are it. And to check in with you means to build your best self. And it doesn't matter how it happens, when it happens, how long it takes. It'll take as long as it takes. Everyone has a different clock. Give yourself compassion and go on. Really. And with that, be inspired. Be inspired. And it may be it's not your time to understand. I don't know. There was, In Love with Africa had said earlier, people catch it at different times. If it seems foreign, maybe this ain't for you right now. That could be it. So what I say is just continue on your journey. If it makes sense, cool. If it doesn't, that's okay too. Everything's not for everyone. And that's really where I'm at. I'm in that space of compassion, of understanding that we all receive things how we receive it in our own time. And I'm perfectly okay with that. Thank you for continuing to like the live, Paper Chaser. I really appreciate you. Finish this year strong. Thank you, Cool Aaron. Finish this year strong. This is fourth quarter. Sneak up from the back and shoot a few three-pointers, meaning just because the year appears to be over doesn't mean you can't finish with the scoreboard being higher than you've ever seen. Well, what you're seeing is happiness, peace, and joy, Rodney Reese. So what I use on my skin is only secondary to the happiness, peace, joy, clarity, abundance, and true sense of self. Along with that, I just made a post about I made like a rice mask. Thank you, Maureen44. I use a lot of things that I have at home. I made a post about like just taking rice and grind it up in your magic bullet or your blender. That's also true, Paper Chaser. I use that to exfoliate. I make a mask out of the powdered rice, honey, and milk, because milk has lactic acid, which eats away the old skin cells. Honey is a moisturizer. A lot of the Egyptian gods would use honey as their skin moisturizer, and rice brightens your skin and takes away dark spots. I drink a lot of water. I rest. I'm happy. So all of this shows in my body. I do love to tan. Yes. Oh, I love mushrooms. I do. I do love microdosing daily. And then within different times, probably every 3 to 4 months, having a significantly higher dose that is intentional. I do actually, though. I find them to be quite enlightening. So there's that. But I'll do more about my skincare. I use a lot, but it's really what's inside that shows outside. Um, a lot of water, a lot of water and rest and happiness. Yes, and doing stupid. Yes, yes, I was a cheerleader. Can't you tell? I was a cheerleader. I'm going to make a post about that because I love to cheer. And I was always the one being thrown up, like, yay, until this girl threw me up and then, like, walked away. And I fell on one of the roots of a tree. So I've lived, okay? I've lived. And I'm enjoying every moment. Whatever comes to me, I'll spin it. And people will say, like, you spin everything to be positive. Why not? I don't want to be like y'all complaining. This is the plane incident changed my life, but also passengers dying on board changed my life. Um, and I enjoy this experience. This experience is to be enjoyed completely. So, as I say, I close all of my lives, and I purposely came on later today. I'm kind of experimenting with times. Tomorrow will be earlier. I don't know what time I'll come on. Yes, I do love to swim. I love the water. It creates great arms and a great back, and it's great, just low impact for the body. Um, if you miss any of my lives, all of my lives are uploaded onto my YouTube channel, which is named Hope is Speaking. The link in my bio has my TEDx talk that I gave a month ago today. It was a month ago. Can you guys believe that? I gave my TEDx talk. Go check that out. And if you miss any of my lives, thank you. I appreciate that, Paper Chaser. You always have kind compliments. Check out my YouTubes. They're almost like podcasts because they're at least 90 minutes long. So again, Hope is Speaking on YouTube. Subscribe and always be the reflection of love because we all come from an infinite source of love. Thank you for the follow, Rodney Watson. Show up. I showed up today. No makeup because I did all of my face masks and everything. Make it look good when you show up. Don't come in pajamas and holy shirts and all that. Make it look good when you show up. And finish this year strong. Put more points on the board. It ain't done yet. It ain't done yet. You still have time to surprise yourself. So I'm rooting for you. I will always love you. I'm here every day, almost speaking like this because this is my dedication and now my profession. Yeah, you do. I'm a busy woman too, so I understand. I understand. And I'll be here to bring the hope. The hopefuls are in the building. Paper Chaser, Marine 44, Cool, Aaron, Mag. Y'all always show up if you're a hopeful. I need to put that back in my link in bio because now it's my TEDx talk. But to buy any hopeful merch, your hopeful shirts, I'll replace that maybe tomorrow. But this is what I do. This is what I do, and it gets funny. It gets very funny. So if this is hopeful, if it's helpful, if it's beneficial, come back. If it's beneficial, follow. If it's not, don't. If you want to see more, go to YouTube. Nikki styled you. Hey, you coming on right as I'm signing off. Nikki styled you is also a hopeful. Subscribe to my YouTube if it's beneficial. If it's not, that's okay too. I will always be transparent. Honesty is the best medicine when done with kindness. I'll speak about that tomorrow. All the hopefuls are in the house, okay? So now I'm going to reflect. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for getting the likes up, 10,000. Every day we do at least 10,000. At least. And I appreciate you and everyone who likes the live. I will see you tomorrow. I hope you gained something from this talk. And until we meet again, yeah, I'll upload them onto YouTube. I'll come back. I'll be back tomorrow, as I do. Thank you. Thank you. Send me all that good energy. I need it. I need it. I need it. I need it. And Nikki Stiles, I'll be on earlier tomorrow. I will. This was a little abnormal. However, it worked out perfect. Okay. I'll have the best evening. How could it go wrong? It's me, Maureen 44. Good night, everyone, with love.